We have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Steelers. This is your Week 13, 2024 prediction and preview video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Also, hit the like button. Let's start with the home team, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're coming off a bye week. But before this bye week, the Bengals did lose to the Los Angeles Chargers 27-34. In the first half, the Los Angeles Chargers had them dead to rights. But in the second half, you guys know how this goes with Joe Burrow. Never count him or the Cincinnati Bengals out. He was able to mount a comeback, but unfortunately, it was not good enough. And on the day, Joe Burrow continued to have an MVP caliber season. He was 28 of 50 for 356 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. T. Higgins was the leading wide receiver, 148 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Jamar Chase, 75 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. They did this against one of the best defenses in the NFL against the Los Angeles Chargers. And they're going to have to replicate a similar formula against the Steelers. Against the Steelers team, you have to slow down TJ Watt and the rest of the pass rush. No Alex Highsmith in this matchup. He's still dealing with an ankle injury, but you still have to worry about Herbig. And also, they made a trade to bring in Preston Smith, who is a very good veteran pass rusher to have around. And the Cincinnati Bengals have done a solid job of keeping Joe Burrow protected this year. Get the football out quick and also test out the secondary. What is going to help the Bengals out in this matchup is the fact that they do not just have one, but they have 2 number 1 wide receivers. Jamar Chase statistically is the best wide receiver in the NFL. You want to feed him, but you have to be careful. Micah Fitzpatrick is still one of the best safeties in the NFL, and they love to play him in the middle of the field. You also have T. Higgins. You can run a lot of crossing routes, but I trust for the Bengals to go out there and to try to at least get Jamar Chase a lot of looks in the red zone, and the same with T. Higgins. This should be a very good game for the Bengals early on if they can take care of Joe Burrow up front. And if they can't, that's when you're going to run into problems, because at that point, you're going to have to dink and dunk your way down the field. And when the Cincinnati Bengals do that, they are not the same team like how they can be when they're able to fully take care of Joe Burrow. And that was a lot of things that happened early on in that Chargers game in the first half. Joey Bosa and crew, they were flying around. They were making sure that Joe Burrow did not have enough time in the pocket. And Joe Burrow will hold on to the football for a little bit too long at times. But when he does, he's trying to take deep shots down the field. Find a way to use more motion, get the Steelers off balance, and also mix in the run in there with Chase Brown. I understand that he had a fumble a couple of weeks ago against the Baltimore Ravens, but you can still trust in this kid. I like Chase Brown a lot in this matchup. He had 4 yards of carry a couple weeks ago against the Chargers, and he had 86 rushing yards. The Steelers defense, they have problems stopping faster running backs in the NFL. The bigger running backs, they do a very good job with because they have a stout front. But you can target the middle of the field with Patrick Queen, especially try to get him off balance with Chase Brown, do some screen plays to get the football in his hand. And the Steelers, they like to play off coverage against wide receivers like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Take this for example. Look at what they did a couple of weeks ago, many weeks ago against the New York Jets. They played off coverage on Garrett Wilson and also on Devontae Adams. You can do a lot of quick passes and hope that your guys can get a lot of run after the catch. And Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they're capable of doing that. Also, be on lookout for the tight end position in this matchup. Mike Gesicki did not do much last week against the Chargers a couple weeks ago. But you look at Yoshi Vosh, who has been a very good number 3 option, and also pay attention to Jermaine Burton. I believe that Jermaine Burton could possibly go out there and have a couple of splash plays here and there against the Steelers in this matchup. The Bengals have the weapons on the offensive end, but it's going to come down to the offensive line protection and how does Zach Taylor want to use Chase Brown come out of the backfield. Another thing to note before I get into the defense with the Bengals, Chase Brown had 86 rushing yards. He also had 57 receiving yards. He's a do-it-all back coming out of that backfield. You have to utilize him in this matchup. When I look at the defense for the Cincinnati Bengals in the first half, they were atrocious. And this has been one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They cannot stop high-caliber offenses. But you're going against the Steelers offense, they're having a lot of struggles right now. Take away the run game and take away George Pickens. I am worried about the Bengals secondary in this matchup because George Pickens, he's a deep down the field monster. Those moon balls are coming in and they're coming very fast in terms of with high success rate. When I look at the Bengals, they have given up a lot of big plays in the secondary. Look at what happened a couple weeks ago against the Chargers. Quentin Johnson in the first half, Ladd McConkey even late in the second half, late in the fourth quarter. And also what happened against Terry McLaurin and the Washington Commanders this year. You have to make sure that you have help over top with the cornerbacks in this matchup. And for Coach Lou, you have to generate pressure on Russell Wilson. If you give him a lot of time in the pocket, he's going to make you pay. He's an insanely accurate quarterback still inside the pocket. Even last week against the Cleveland Browns, he had a lot of good moments in the snow. And the week before that, also, Russell Wilson, you have to put pressure on him. He got sacked 4 times against the Baltimore Ravens in the first half. He got sacked 4 times last week against the Cleveland Browns. You have to generate pressure. And one good thing with the Cincinnati Bengals, they have the leading sack monster right now in Trey Hendrickson. He leads the league in sacks. He has to go out there and be a game changer in this matchup. And every single game this year, he has been phenomenal. Continue to put that pressure on Russell Wilson. And also, blitz off the side of Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones has started to play a little bit better, but he is still a liability on the offensive line for the Steelers. And he has been a holding machine in the past. You have to go out there and get to a fast start if you are the Cincinnati Bengals in the first half. The Steelers offense in the first half, they come out slow with Russell Wilson. Besides the game against the New York Giants, Russell Wilson is the quarterback. He's a rhythm guy. As the game goes on, that's when he gets better. Heat Russell Wilson up inside the pocket, and I'm looking at guys like Sam Hubbard, phenomenal run stopper. This is going to be a great matchup for him, but he also has to go back there and put that pressure on Russell Wilson. And I'm looking at the secondary. They have to be elite. Cam Taylor-Britt, Josh Newton. Josh Newton had a very good second half against the Los Angeles Chargers. Had a lot of good plays. You have to be consistent in this matchup. And also, I'm looking at Mike Hilton inside the slot, who was a former player for the Steelers many years ago. The Cincinnati Bengals, they have a good shot to win this game, and they're also in a must-win situation. They're still trying to make the NFL playoffs, and this is a division game. Now, let's talk about the Steelers. Last week was a rough week for the Steelers. They went out there on short week's notice after they had a great win over the Baltimore Ravens, and they lost to the Cleveland Browns 19-24. Yes, it was a lot of weather conditions. In the first half, it was cold. In the second half, it was still cold, but snow came down on the ground. Russell Wilson was 21-28, 270 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. He got sacked 4 times in the first half, similar to what happened in the Baltimore Ravens game. This is the 3rd straight division matchup, and it does bother me because these AFC North matchups, they're brutal and they're physical. In this game, you have to get off to a fast start. Now, against the New York Giants a couple weeks ago, the offense got off to a very good start, but they could not score in the red zone. It was a lot of miscues. You're going against a high-powered offense with an MVP caliber quarterback in Joe Burrow. You have to score and take those deep shots down the field, but watch out with those deep shots. Mike Williams can be a key piece in this matchup. Give him the snaps, give him the reps, playing alongside George Pickens. Van Jefferson is not the guy to go to in this matchup. When the Bengals, when they match up with wide receivers like Van Jefferson, that's who they succeed the most against. But when they're going against wide receivers that are big and can go down the field like a George Pickens and a Mike Williams, that's when they struggle. You also have Calvin Austin III, who led the team in receiving last week. And speaking of Calvin Austin III, 78 receiving yards last week, 1 receiving touchdown. Big Pat, 59 receiving yards. George Pickens, 48 receiving yards on 4 catches. You do want to go out there and try to take your deep shots down the field with the moon ball, but take more underneath passes. Take what the defense gives you and make life easy. Give Najee Harris a lot of reps early on and give him the screen passes. I know that's going to sound crazy, but Najee Harris, right now, he's struggling. He had 3 games in a row when he had over 100 yards rushing. The last 2 weeks, he hasn't looked the same because he's been going against tougher Russian defenses and the guys are bigger up front. Najee Harris is the running back that needs to go out there, and it takes time for him to get to his top end speed. So in screen situations, you put some bodies in front of him, he can go out there and he can get that momentum behind him. He's a bowling ball running back. Jaylen Warren, this could be the key game for him. He has the speed and the pop coming out of that backfield. Jaylen Warren led the team in rushing yards last week, 45 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And he averaged 4 yards a carry, while Najee Harris averaged 2.6 yards a carry. Najee Harris is going to be useful in this matchup, especially against blitz pickups. But Jaylen Warren, this could be the game for him. Get him going and try to run the football as much as possible up front. But it's going to come down to the Steelers getting off to a fast start and protecting Russell Wilson against Trey Hendrickson. I'm worried about this because Myles Garrett in the first half, he was a monster. You can't let Trey Hendrickson go out there and overtake this game. And all respect to Myles Garrett, he's one of the best pass rushers in the game. Trey Hendrickson is a different type of pass rusher this season. He's looking to knock the ball out of the quarterback's hands. And we saw what happened last week. Russell Wilson had a fumble. Take care of the football. Take it down by down. Don't rush the offense, and be careful with the way that you use Justin Fields. They brought in Justin Fields last week on a crucial 3rd down. If it's 3rd and short and you're not going to run the football, keep Russell Wilson out there and give Justin Fields more opportunity on 1st and 2nd down and keep the defense guessing. Do not just run the football every single time that Justin Fields comes into the game. Even though he did have a run that went for 30 yards last week and it woke up the offense, let him pass the football around. And you have to be careful with that because it's a different cadence with him and Russell Wilson. But the Steelers, going against one of the weaker defenses in the NFL, with the weapons that they have and the veteran quarterback, they should be able to put up some points with their offense. But you cannot depend on your special teams and you cannot depend on your defense this entire game. And you can't play around with Joe Burrow because that man will make you pay. Far as the defense for the Steelers, you have to get after Joe Burrow. It was too many times last week to where Jameis Winston had a lot of time in the pocket. And no disrespect to Jameis Winston, he had a very good game. Joe Burrow, you give him more than 4 seconds in the pocket, he's going to make you pay. And he has very good mobility. This is a game for TJ Watt. Last week, TJ Watt was quiet. TJ Watt was getting double and triple teamed a lot. I understand it. But you have to go out there and prove that you're still one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. And I'm not trying to say that he is not, because he is. He's had a very good season this season. But this is a type of game for TJ Watt to go out there and get his name back in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. I'm looking at Herbig. Has had 2 very good games in a row. He was key against the Baltimore Ravens on the 2-point conversion play. He blew that play up. We saw what he was able to do last week against the Cleveland Browns. They came away with turnovers, but the offense could not cash in. And the defense has been consistent all season long. Force Joe Burrow into uncomfortable situations and watch out with how you play that press man coverage. It's going to be very interesting to see how Joey Porter Jr. will play against Jamar Chase, because more than likely he's going to have that tough assignment all day. Joey Porter Jr. is the true #1 cornerback with the Steelers. He's had some good moments this season, like how he had against the New York Jets, but he's also had some moments that make you scratch your head, like how he had against the Washington Commanders. But Joey Porter Jr., I believe that he can hold his own on a guy like Jamar Chase. I am worried about T. Higgins, because when I look at the opposite side, you have Dante Jackson. He's been up and down this season, and T. Higgins is different, especially in the red zone. T. Higgins has dealt with injuries this year, but when he's been on the field, he's been phenomenal. You have to watch out for the passing attack with the Cincinnati Bengals. And the best way to watch out for it and to try to neutralize and stop that passing attack is pressure up front. You have Herbig, you have TJ Watt, you have Cameron Hayward, who has been phenomenal all season long, by the way, as a run stopper and pushing the pocket. He's going to be a key in the interior. Stop Joe Burrow from having the ability to step up inside the pocket and make sure that you can push on the inside. And then guys like TJ Watt and Herbig can have an easier day on getting those sacks and that pressure on Joe Burrow. I'm also looking at Patrick Queen. 3 very good games in a row. Patrick Queen has to continue to do that. He's going to be the main guy to watch Chase Brown coming out of the backfield. And I'm also looking at Peyton Wilson, who had a phenomenal play against the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm also looking at what can he do in the pass game in this matchup against the Bengals. Because the Bengals, they are able to run the football, but Zach Taylor, he loves to pass the football, and rightfully so. You have Joe Burrow. And I look at the linebackers with the Bengals. There are some very good guys over there on that side of the ball. No disrespect to them. I want to give them some love. And Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt, those are the type of linebackers to give Najee Harris a lot of problems. That's why I say, hey, go out there and feed Jaylen Warren more in this game, and also use Cordell Patterson. Van Jefferson should not be touching the field that much. Mike Williams should be on the field. Take your deep shots when they're there. With that being said, it's going to come down to this. Can the Bengals defense step up? And can the Steelers offense step up enough to match their defensive productivity? Because they're going to force Joe Burrow to go out there and cause some turnovers, like how they have against the Cleveland Browns and how they did against the Baltimore Ravens, and they can't cash in. The Steelers won't win this game. But if they can cash in on these turnovers and the special teams play can be better, like how it has been in every single game this season, understand that Chris Boswell did miss a kick last week. That's a very rare occurrence. The Steelers can win this game. It's going to be close. It's AFC North football. The Bengals are in a do-or-die situation. The Steelers, they're trying to go out there and regain some momentum. They were on a short week last week after they played a physical game against the Baltimore Ravens. Call me crazy. All of the games that are played in the AFC North, they're all close because they know each other. I like the Steelers in this matchup. Call me crazy. I'm going to take the Steelers to win this game 24-21. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this game? The Steelers or the Cincinnati Bengals? And it can go either way. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.